What would they do? Get a license plate and turn that in? What would
Yeah,
what would we look for?
If you see something, I would say get as many. I mean, Jarrod can speak to this, but as a mom, the first thing I would do is I would try and get as many details as I can as far as like, are they driving a vehicle? Can you get the license plate? Is there a victim? What does the victim look like? Age, anything like that? Suspects. But Jarrod, I mean, you can speak to that more.
Yeah. So, if, for example, the perfect example that that I can think of is, or a good example I can think of is, you're at a gas station, right? And there's a truck stop affiliated with the gas station, and you're seeing a child, a 16-year-old girl dressed inappropriately for the weather, dressed in a provocative manner, appears to be under the influence of something that's roaming around, the truck stop. That is human trafficking. That is sex trafficking. And a lot of people would just get back in their car and drive away. But by calling law enforcement, in that case, it would call the non-emergency number and report, say, hey, I just want a well-being check done on this child, on somebody that doesn't appear to be safe. That alone enables law enforcement to respond, to go out there, to check on the well-being of the child. Basically, it creates reasonable suspicion for law enforcement to be able to act. Without that phone call, their hands are tied. So, and another thing that's important is, if you have a neighbor that you see the house, it has a high level of people coming in and out of the house. Maybe you're seeing girls that don't live there but frequent the property, coupled with men that are coming there, in a consistent basis that just things don't look right. Reporting that to local law enforcement and just asking for a well-being check is the key to them to be able to go and at least investigate, at least look and see if there's anything there. And the other part of it, being in federal law enforcement for 26 years, is you may see something and know that it's not right, report it, and not be able to see the bigger picture, right? Because what you saw may just be one piece of the puzzle. But for law enforcement, you never know. We'll go back to the example of the neighbor's house. Reporting that suspicious activity and being that one piece of the puzzle may be helping law enforcement to put the whole puzzle together. And it may be enough for them to be able to use the other information they have to be able to get a search warrant, to be able to make something happen to where they may be able to go in and rescue children. So it's always better to err on the side of reporting versus thinking, well, I'm not sure, maybe I shouldn't report it. I can tell you that law enforcement would rather you report it.
And I do want to highlight the fact, I just do want to highlight the fact of what Jarrod mentioned. However, it doesn't just apply to women and girls. There are industries that request men and boys. So it ties back to, if you see something, feel something wrong, say something, and it isn't just limited to a certain gender or a certain race or ethnicity. So I just wanted to highlight that.
Right. I just want to make sure everybody watching gets more involved. So the steps from a layman's viewpoint would be, you see something weird, maybe inconspicuously take a picture of the person if you can without being identified. Then you're going to call 911. Is that what you would do?
Well, it's all based on the circumstance, but in general, if it's something that you have a concern about but isn't an immediate emergency, then I would call the non-emergency number of the police department.
Okay, so we call the non-emergency number. If everybody watching looked at every one of your neighbors, if you look in the distance, you have 3, 4, 5, 6 neighbors, we can make a big impact together. But all of you watching need to do it. It's like a few years ago, they had that story on the news everywhere that these 4 or 5 girls were captured and put in this guy's house for 10 or 12 years and had babies, and nobody knew. The neighbor's house was a few feet away. Nobody knew. You must be kidding. Open your eyes, ladies and gentlemen, and help. Let's get together and help.
The other thing that could be done to combat human trafficking is creating awareness for children, especially teenagers, right? So parents, if their child has access to the internet, then they're a target of grooming for sex trafficking. Social media and the gaming platforms, these are the tools the traffickers are using to target our children. So going and monitoring their social media activity, explaining to them the dangers that exist on the internet, that's not happening at the level that it should, but that is a huge step in the right direction toward combating sex trafficking, because that's where it starts. It starts on the internet. It starts on Facebook. It starts on your social media accounts.
Do churches educate the kids
Good
and
question.
parents, and most importantly, the kids?
Right. So Allie and I have been traveling around the country speaking at different churches, and we've been as far as Washington, the state of Washington, to Colorado, to out east to Connecticut recently. And so it's just something that is catching on, but has not fully caught on. And it's one thing I want to express is that someone in the audience, that if you want to learn more, if you want Allie and I to come and to speak to, whether it's your church, your organization, or your community, just reach out. Reach out through the website. This is what we do. We do this, as humanitarians. We do this because we care. We do this because we've spoken to enough trafficking victims to know that there is a crisis going on out there.
Okay, great. And Ali, we know how to reach Dr. Sadulski because we've got his website down there. What about you? Is this your email address that I see under your name?
So that is my social media handle, but I am also on Dr. Sadulski's website, and my email is also located there as well. So feel free to reach out via our website and we'll get back to you.
Okay, so churches, schools, Chamber of Commerce's, any organization, medical associations, listen up. You have an opportunity to have fabulous speakers. I'm sure virtually would be probably most. Chiropractic conventions, directors. This is a great opportunity. Now, I do have some questions because we have a little bit more time. So the schools, do the schools have any kind of a little class in their health class or something class that they teach any of this to children to be aware?
So unfortunately, to date, it is a state by state issue. It is actually a county by county, district by district handling, and whether that particular district or school board prioritizes this topic. What we would encourage as a first line of defense is to have the parents be the ones that educate. We can't outsource our parental responsibility to the schools. We can't expect the schools to take care of these important topics. And so I would task each and every parent to educate their children on the signs, the dangers, and how to protect themselves, how to develop that discernment to be able to protect themselves. It's not limited to just strangers on the street. Actually, Jarrod can tell you from his time in law enforcement, a lot of sexual assault, trafficking, domestic abuse, it happens generationally, it happens within the family or extended family. So it's not just limited to the internet or a stranger on the street. So we would just encourage that parents or guardians educate your children, have those conversations with your kids about what do the red flags look like? What do the yellow and orange flags look like flags that would immediately raise suspect, but it's not all the way to a red flag. Have these conversations. And I would encourage the schools to also do that, to fill in the gaps of conversations and situations where children might not be having these conversations with their parents. So maybe offer, I don't like schools mandating programs, but maybe an opt-in where parents can be allowed to opt into a training with experts and specialists on human trafficking, age appropriate, but mainly to protect children from predators. So great question though.
Right. Well, we're just not aware. One of the first things, ladies and gentlemen, I asked when we were behind stage getting into this program, they mentioned the word grooming. And honestly, I've been involved and I didn't even think of what grooming meant. I said, what's grooming? So our kids are being targeted and we just don't realize to the extent. What are the extent? Worldwide, is it I thought I heard somewhere it was like 50 million people are in slavery right now. Is that true?
Yeah. So, go ahead, Ali.
No, go ahead. I was actually tagging you.
Oh, so human trafficking is it's actually more than that, but it's at least $150 billion industry worldwide. If I were going to sell drugs, I would go and I would sell you drugs. I would have to go and acquire more drugs at a wholesale rate, and then go and create another sale, where a human is sold over and over and over again. So therefore, these criminals are realizing that humans are far more profitable than selling drugs. So people are getting involved in this really worldwide. This is a worldwide issue. This exists in all 50 states in the United States. This exists throughout the world. And the numbers, I don't believe the numbers. I think they're significantly more than what's reported. I think that, coming from my own personal experience, I've had a family member that was groomed on the internet. And, fortunately, she was 15 years old at the time. She recognized that something seems off and reported it, and ultimately, fortunately, was not a victim. But these things happen. If somebody that's involved in this industry, if it's happening to, you can be assured that it's happening to pretty much everyone. So, it is far more prevalent than we realize. And again, it is literally occurring in front of us, and we're not seeing it. It's the children, that are often targeted, but anybody can be a victim of human trafficking. And one thing we didn't touch on is sextortion. So sextortion, according to the FBI, is the fastest growing online threat toward teenagers. Basically, it's where a child or an adult shares sexually explicit images with somebody, and that person goes and uses them to extort them for either money, more pictures, or for sex services. And it is costing teenagers their lives. People are taking their lives because they feel that they have no way out, because people have compromising pictures of them. This goes back to Ali's point in terms of educating these children and warning them of the dangers of their actions online. And Ali and I, this is really just the beginning. We've been doing this for a while now, but we're going back to the border from Texas to California in the coming weeks. We're going to Central America. We're going to South America in the coming weeks. This work, this research that we're doing is continuing. So I encourage people to follow us, to go to the website, to follow us on social media. We're on all the social media platforms, and to follow our work, because we are willing to risk our lives to go face this evil. We're willing to go into a prison setting in Central America and sit across the desk from a Sinaloa cartel member, from a Jalisco New Generation cartel member, from a Gulf cartel member. And we're willing to do this because we're seeing meaningful change happen because of this work. So we're not asking for money. We're not asking for anything other than people's support. So I encourage people to support us by following us on social media, following our work. And the reason why that's important to us is because that creates the awareness that we're looking for.
Right. Well, it seems like you guys might be ready to go, but I have a couple more important questions. So don't go. Okay, these are important to the world. So we didn't know that these kids are coming across the border and they're coming to America, and we're using them for God knows what. Mm-hmm. What kind of people in America are using their services? Are these all levels of society are buying these services? What the heck's going on here in America?
It breaks my heart to say this, but it's a fact. It's everyone. I don't. When it comes to people that are engaged in this activity, we have seen cases of where it is people within the church. We have seen cases where it's law enforcement. That's a fact. We've seen cases where law enforcement is directly involved in human trafficking, particularly in Missouri, as a case that we're currently working. And so it's unfortunate, but the U.S. is the biggest market for sex trafficking. And, a lot of it, as far as the buyers, they're politicians. We've come across cases involving politicians. I mean, you can see it on the news, right? Look at these people, that are icons to some people, certainly not to me, but are icons to people. And here they are getting involved in sex trafficking and getting indicted and going to jail. And it's unfortunate, but it exists throughout the United States, and it involves a wide range of people.
Okay, so bad news. And I'm just holding back from bawling, if you want to know the truth. So I'm hoping all of America is about ready to bawl, because I am. But I have a real important question quoted from Ali. She said, and this is not political. I don't care, political values. I just want to take care of our kids and people and us, right? And I want America to thrive. So you said you need to look at the policies that facilitate and the policies that push back and vote accordingly. Well, I know for sure, and I watch the news more than most probably, and I watch all the channels, but I can tell you a whole lot of people that's going to vote really don't know what they're voting for. So is there any way possible you could please explain to people what policies are good and what are bad, because they don't know they don't know what that means. Policies that facilitate, policies that push back. What does that mean?
So the first main one, the easiest one to explain, is that DNA testing requirement. With the prior administration, with the Trump administration, there was a requirement to conduct DNA tests of any adult that was traveling with a child to make sure that it was a familial relationship. That was pulled back under the current administration. So that's a policy example. We've asked why. What is the benefit to pulling back a DNA test? And we haven't gotten a response that makes sense, that makes logical sense on why you would pull back something so simple as a DNA test. That is a policy that's easy to understand. On top of the fact that there's now been 94 policies that the prior administration had implemented that were pulled back by the current administration. That is a fact. And these are the types of policies that have exacerbated the issue at the border. Look, Jarrod and I want legal pathways. We want to make it easier to get into the country the legal way. We want to incentivize people to come the legal way. But we have to stop the bleeding. We can't have this rush and flood at the border and not know who's coming in. We just can't.
Ali couldn't have worded it any better. And again, Ali and I don't get political. We speak on policy and we speak in fact. And it is a matter of fact that in the last 4 years, over 8 million people have come to the United States, been processed by Border Patrol. Those are the people that have been processed. When Ali and I are on the border, we're being told that by migrants that they view Border Patrol, they call it a migrant Uber, is what they refer to it as, because they know that they want to get caught by Border Patrol under this administration. And again, this is not political. This is fact. I don't think it. I know it. So these people come in and they claim asylum. And what happens is, because ICE facilities are full, they are released with a notice to appear in court, immigration court, 4 to 7 years in the future. 4 to 7 years. Imagine that. And then they are released to the public. They're released to the streets. They're released and sent to communities throughout the United States. No one, I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat, can deny that this is a crisis and it is costing people's lives. And it is squarely on this administration.
And I just want to highlight the fact that, Trish, I'm sure you've heard, there's been many individuals that have looked back on the days of Abraham Lincoln, the days of World War II with the Holocaust. And they ask themselves, why didn't people say something? Why didn't people do something? If I were there, I would have done something. I would have fought back. I would have, fought for the rights of those that were being hurt and killed. And we have that situation now. That was slavery back in Abraham Lincoln days. It's modern day slavery. There is no other answer for it than modern day slavery. You have sex, you have labor, you have indentured servitude. This is slavery. And if you sit there and you look at the time of Abraham Lincoln and think, I would have done something, well, it's happening right in front of you now, here, today, and you can do something. So are you going to leave your mark on the world, or are you going to just go about your day and look the other way?
So if I'm a viewer and I have the question too, this DNA thing is a big deal. So Trump had the DNA policy. The current administration doesn't. Is the current administration, if Kamala wins, is she willing to add this DNA policy back again? That's what everybody's going to wonder. Do you know?
So, unfortunately, Miss Harris's, VP Harris's policies haven't really been explained on what she would and wouldn't do at the border. She was responsible for the border under the current administration. And I can only look at history to show me what someone would do moving forward. Your historical actions as you being responsible for the border have resulted in, if I were to give it a grade, it would be an F. Mm-hmm. And so how can I expect, looking at history, looking at your past and your past actions, that I would expect anything different? Mm-hmm. You can't expect anything different.
She hasn't gone out and said that she's going to add that DNA testing back again?
Then why, yeah, if she hasn't said anything, I haven't heard any specific policies that weren't involved in the Biden-Harris administration that she would bring into her administration. So I haven't heard anything.
No. And anybody watching, don't get mad at us. We're not talking about politics. We're just talking about these kids that's put into sex slavery here in America, and our American citizens are paying money to do God knows what with them. So don't get mad about politics, please. Right? Well, I want to go ahead and exit the room, and then do you have a few more things you guys want to discuss that we haven't covered?
I actually have to get going. Okay. But I don't know, Jarrod, if you had anything.
Nope, I think we've covered it. And like I said, we're two people trying to create this awareness nationally, because regardless of whether somebody's Republican or Democrat, nobody wants to see this done to children. Nobody wants to see this done to women. And I encourage everyone to trust but verify. Listen to everything that we've said today, and then go out and fact check it. Go do your own research and your own homework, because I know when you do, you're going to see what we see. And reach out to us. If you want to partner with us, if you want to support us, if you want to help us, Sadulski.com is the easiest way to reach us. You can reach both Ali and I through that way. But we are genuinely trying to make a difference in this fight. And
you are. So thank you both for joining us. And everybody, please reach out and do me and everybody a favor. If every one of you would, when you're watching this, share it on your social media, share it on your Instagram, your Facebook, everything, LinkedIn. This will help make a difference. Share it in your groups that you're a member of. Let's get the word out. Well, thank you both for joining me. And I do have a question for both of you after we get off stage. So thank you, everybody, for watching.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we don't have to really end the recording. We can keep talking because I'll just cut it off.
Okay.
But I just need to know, I'm going to share this everywhere, like I mentioned, but I've also had the idea I'm going to send it to Hannity. I'm going to email it to Hannity in different places, but I don't have all their emails. Do you have a few emails I can send it to?
We don't have Hannity's.
Maybe let's think on it, and then we can send you an email with contacts that we have. Right. I can't think of what we have off the top of my head, but.
Right. And I'm going to tell them to, like if I have Hannity, I can call his assistant. They actually know me, but I can call them and try to get their email address. But it'd be better if you have different ones for CNN and all of them. BBC, is that what that's what it's called? BBC? They probably would. But I think even this the last end part where you guys are talking about the border and the two different policies is so important. People don't know.
No.
And now, just as this morning, they said the border is now number one on everybody's mind. But these kids up until about age 35, most of them don't know. They're just voting because they think they're going to get their student loans forgiven.
Right.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned what 35-year-old women are considering, and they're worried about, this might be an interesting plug to use, my body, my choice. But these girls, these women, it's their body, but they don't have a choice. So where is your voice on this issue? It's their body and they don't
Right.
have a choice.
You're talking about the trafficking victims, right?
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I don't understand that either. Abortions when you're 9 months pregnant either. Wow. Oh my God.
Yeah. So yeah, our country, is truly imploding and falling apart, and this is just one cancer of our society. And it takes people to to really wake up and to see that, like, this isn't sustainable. You can't have 8 million people in the United States. Think about it from, we could have got into it with your audience, but from a healthcare perspective, right? Healthcare rates are going up because of the money that is being spent on the illegal migrants.
Right.
It's crazy.
And could you imagine they want to give everybody Medicare? Everybody gets Medicare. You're kidding.
Yeah, it's not sustainable.
No.
But
Thank you so much. Anytime you want to do this, we can do it again. Whatever you guys want, just say, I know how to get our word out, and call me and I'll ask whatever questions, or I won't ask any questions and you can have it. But at least we've got the platform that you can do.
yeah,
Well,
appreciate
I would love to see if we can get it in front of Benny or Jack Posobiec or like Charlie Kirk, because we need our young people. Like the older community, yes, they know a little bit about what's going on, but the younger community, the ones that are parents that are worried about their children and the safety of their communities, they need to know. And as they're going into the ballot box, they need to vote accordingly.
Right.
Yeah.
I would gather almost to say 95% of Americans don't know this.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah. So if we can get it on X, I don't know, Trish, if you're on X,
Yeah.
get on X, get it in front of Benny Johnson and get it in front of Charlie Kirk and Jack Posobiec. Those three voices are very strong within the millennial and Gen Z community. If we can get it in front of them.
Right. But I think the best way is to get them through email.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we really appreciate your help in getting this message out there. It's it's something we're very passionate about. So yeah, any and everything that you could do to help, get this message out that we shared today would mean a lot. And again, Ali and I, we're not, as as we started off talking about, we're not making any money doing this. We're doing this because we have big hearts, and we care. And we've talked to enough victims and have stayed up late at night, not being able to sleep because of what we've seen and heard. And, this is important work. And then, the other thing I mentioned is, we have some big trips coming. Ali and I are going to Texas on the border. We're going to California on the border. We're going back to Central America. And we're going to Bogota, Colombia, to work with their government and Interpol on counter human trafficking, and that's coming in weeks. So this work that we're doing, like it's ramping up, it's building. So there's going to be a lot more to talk about. So we probably should be doing this once every couple of months after these research trips, because when we come back from the border, we're going to have a whole new hour of information to share.
Okay, great. And then anything I can do, just let me know. Email me. Ali, what is your cell phone number, just in case I ever need you for emergency sakes?
952
Uh-huh.
378
Uh-huh.
7732.
Okay, and then you're going to think about some potential emails you're going to forward me to send. I don't know these people, Jack, Charlie, and Benny, but I don't know.
Charlie Kirk runs Turning Point USA. So if you've heard of Turning Point USA,
Yeah.
Charlie Kirk runs that.
USA. And Jack?
I forget what he runs, but they have big platforms and big reach
Younger
into
people.
like millennial and Gen Z mainly.
Yeah. Yes. And I wish we had a list of emails of pastors, because if we could email this to the pastors and tell them, hey, clip out a couple little 1-minute segments and show it in church.
Yeah.
They probably would, but we don't have a list of emails for preachers, do we?
No, but I think the best way to go about that would be to go to like there's associations and you got a meeting, right?
Yeah. So since this isn't gonna go on, thank you so much, Trish. I gotta get going. So let me know if there's anything you need. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good
Bye.
work, Alan. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
But there's associations that pastors belong to that I think going to the association and asking them to send it out to their members would be the way to go.
Oh, yeah, it's a good one. Okay, great. Thank you so much, Dr. Jarrod, and I hope to see you again soon. Let me know if you need anything from me that I can do. I wish I could work full time doing this, but
Yeah, awesome. Trish, thank you so much for helping us, for partnering, coming alongside of us and doing this work with us. And we'll definitely be in touch.
thank you. Bye bye. Have a great day. Thanks.
You too.
Bye
Bye.
bye. Thanks.